Hello friends, welcome. This is our second video lecture in the series of control system. In this lecture we will be covering feedbacks. So there are two types of feedback. Number one is positive feedbacks and number two is negative feedbacks. So basic difference between positive and negative feedbacks. So number one is representation. So this is the representation of positive feedback system. In case of this is a forward path, this is our feedback HS and this is our output CS. And in case of negative feedback system, this sign will be reverse. So this is our negative feedback GS CS and this is our feedback HS is directly connected with header through negative sign. So in case of negative feedback, this sign will be negative, and in case of positive feedback, this sign will be positive. And to differentiate positive and negative feedback, there are two differences. Number one is positive feedback decreases the stability of the system, whereas in case of negative feedback system, this increases the stability. How negative feedback increases the stability of the system and how does positive feedback system decreases the stability of the system, that will be covered in our lecture, in upcoming video lecture. But that point should be kept in mind, that negative feedback increases the stability and positive decreases the stability. And second difference is, here we know that this is positive sign and this is negative sign. So in case of positive feedback system, the output of this adder will be RS plus HS into CS, whereas in case of negative feedback system, the output of the adder will be with negative sign RS minus HS into CS. So in case of positive feedback system, this type of feedback also called as regenerative feedbacks, and this type of feedbacks also called degenerative feedbacks. Now friends, note point, one thing that should be kept in mind is, in 99% cases, by default we consider negative feedback. And why we consider and why we take negative feedback? The answer is because this increases the stability of the system, and we want and we required, and our objective of the control system is to achieving the highest stability of the control system. So this was all about negative and positive feedback system. Now we are going to cover unity feedback system. So as name says, unity feedback. So in case of unity feedback, our value of feedback, and means HS will be unity. So unity feedback system also two types. Number one is positive unity feedback, and number two is negative unity feedback. So in case of negative unity feedback, this is our representation, negative, positive, and this is G, and this is our C, GS and CS, and here HS is equal to 1, and this is our RS. And in case of negative this is positive. In case of negative feedback system, this will be our negative sign and this will be positive. In both the cases, this sign will be positive because here we are applying input, that is RS, and this is our forward path gain, that is GS, and here we are getting output CS. This is our unity feedback, that is HS is equal to 1. So these are two types of unity feedback system, that is positive unity feedback and negative unity feedback. And we know that the transfer function of unity negative feedback is GS upon 1. Since here we are having positive feedback, therefore in case of positive feedback, in denominator sign will be negative GS, and since we are taking HS is equal to 1, so transfer function in case of positive unity feedback system will be GS upon 1 minus GS, and in case of negative feedback system, our transfer function will be GS upon 1 plus GS, because we are having negative feedback, and in case of negative feedback, this sign will be positive. Now in 99% cases, we consider unity feedback. So we conclude that most of the cases we will take unity and negative feedback. First thing, our feedback should be negative, and second thing, our negative feedback should be unity. So our most adopted and most commonly used transfer control system will be this negative unity feedback system, G of S. So this is our negative unity feedback system. This is positive. And one more thing that should be kept in mind is, since we are discussing our this control system in frequency domain, therefore we write transfer function in this fashion: GS upon 1 plus GS HS. So this suffix S represent that we are discussing our chapter in frequency domain. So in short, we can also represent this T is equal to G upon 1 plus GH. This is also correct. And for unity feedback, we can also write that this transfer function like 1 plus 1 upon gf. So this is also correct, because this is understood that we are covering our whole chapter in frequency domain. Then we can write as in suffix, and we can also leave. Thank you.